How's it going, everybody? It's me, Shane, and I'm here to give you another Miss Marvel episode review and recap. Today's episode is episode 3, Destined. And before we get into things that may or may not be I can't even come up with a pun for Destined, but it is your destiny to hit that like button, leave me a comment, and hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to be notified of more videos just like this. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and that is something we will do. So, um, wow, to this episode. Um, I don't know what to always expect when it comes to Marvel, especially the shows. They do a wonderful job of taking the comic book knowledge, or should I say, the comic book source materials, and bending and conforming them in ways that fits in this universe. But one thing is for certain. Uh, I thoroughly enjoy how there's multiple beings in this MCU, in this Marvel Cinematic Universe, and multiple beings meaning there are Eternals. Eventually, we're going to get mutants. There are powered individuals. There's magic, and now there are the Jinns, aka the people of the newer light realm, aka the clandestines, who are Jinns. I like that because and also there's space, there's aliens everywhere, and then you have whatever the heck is going on with Thor's type of thing, right? With the realm of the gods, where it's always it's a damn shame that early Marvel were so scared to dip their toe in the magic that they did the whole thing in Thor 1 where it's like magic. Magic is just science that you don't understand. Where I come from, it's one of the things. Like, and then Doctor Strange shows up and goes, "No, there's magic, there's science. Shut up." So that's only one. That's one of the few failings that I do have a gripe with. Let's. I got a list. I wrote some things down. So why am I okay with? Because the big thing with Kamala is wrestling with how is she going to help these Jinn? And these Jinn were all friends of her great grandmother. And it turns out that her great grandmother, ha ha ha, was a Jinn. The power that comes from within, it's her family line. And they didn't even know that Aisha, her great grandmother, had a family, right? During the whole partition of India. And actually, that's the opening. Opening of our show was 19. Oh Lord, I wrote this down somewhere. I think I wrote it in my phone. I want to say 1942. I hate to be wrong about that. I was right. 1942 is when all of this happened, when all this started, when they found the bangle. And I can't wait to get into the bangle. Just give me a second about the bangle. So Kamala, throughout this whole entire episode, is just trying to figure out what to do. She's talked to Bruno, who, Bruno tells her he got into Caltech and he thinks it's good for him to go, but he wants to help her with this thing that she wants to do. She wants to help these people, so he's gonna help her. But he tells her, and it's so interesting. We get another reference of the power of the sun, where interdimensional travel is real. But in order to power it, you got to have the power of the sun. And something needing that type of power has a large margin of error. And so he tries to tell her, you need to wait until we can do this the right way. Because she says, well, it's a might. It's not a will, it's a might. And she says, Carol Danvers wouldn't wait. She would just punch a hole through. And he says, if Carol Danvers would do that, then she is reckless. That feels like foreshadowing. And as a matter of fact, Carol Danvers that I knew in the comics, the original Miss Marvel, she sometimes did things very, very recklessly. It took her a while, until she had to grow into her own character as Miss Marvel, and then grow into being the new Captain Marvel after Marvel either died multiple times or just left. So that's what Bruno with the mosque leader, which I almost didn't talk about this, but I will in a minute. He has two great moments, and I'm gonna get to that in 1 second. But he tells her he repeats a very famous line that comes straight out of her comic books. And I knew I heard it somewhere before, and I had to look this up. Uh, Good is not a thing that you are; it is a thing that you do. And it was in her 2015 comics. Someone in there, I believe, I don't think it was her. It might have been her actual father that said this. But famous line is a very good. It's really good words. I feel like someone else in the MCU has said this. I feel like it might. If it wasn't Spider Man, it was Captain America. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I've been trying to take care of myself, but I've in between taking care of myself, Civil War's been on TV, as have the Bay Transformers. So I've been watching Civil War a bunch of times, realizing that that is still easily top five, one of the best MCU movies. But I feel like I've heard that before in this universe. But if I haven't, and I'm just misremembering, but it definitely is in the comics. And her mother, because she has a bad scraped knee, and she's gonna, try to do it herself. But her mom says, "Oh, let me help you." Which she says she fell off her bike. She can't tell the truth, right? She can't tell that a drone tried to kill her. Uh, excuse me. Her mother tells, she says to her mother, "You ever feel like you're all alone and there's no one you can turn to?" And her mother explains to her, her mountain was America. She can speak good English. Kamala's father worked jobs that did not give a lot of pay. On top of that, her older brother, was born. He was just a baby, but she got through it. She found the mosque. She found all the aunties, and she informs Kamala, "You don't have whatever you're going through. You don't have to go through it by yourself." And that is a very key thing that will play into this character. This is very much a coming of age, and I like that her coming of age seems distinctly different from Peter's. Peter's isn't, "I have to rely on other people." Peter's is, sometimes you sometimes you can't have everything. In order to do the right thing, sometimes you gotta make sacrifices. And 9 times out of 10, Spider-Man sacrifices himself and his happiness. That is the character. Actually, this is Venom, technically Agent Venom Thunderbolt shirt, but you know what I'm trying to say. Um, and it seems like Kamala's whole deal is you should learn how to depend on others and not do it by yourself, which plays very well into the character. She's been an Avenger with Miles and young Nova. I know his name's Sam. I just don't remember Sam's last name. Sam Alexander? He's Latin X. I just don't remember his last name. I enjoy him as a character. She's been part of the Champions, the young group that got tired of the Avengers crap and they're doing their own stuff. She works with she works with Wolverine, she's worked with Carol, she's worked with both Spider-Man. Really good character. So her whole deal is working with people. So this will play into, I believe, her future roles in the MCU. Um, Now, let me cut when I was interrupting myself. The mosque leaders. So they had a moment earlier when, of course, the Department of Damage Control come in. So rude. They're like, "Yeah, the woman, obviously racist woman, obviously the Karen. I'm not calling her real name. She's Agent Karen. And Agent Karen is just running down the leader, talking about, well, we believe this person's here, that you're holding this person." And Nakia, who is on the board now, Nakia straight up says, "Yeah, we know our rights. You need a warrant to do all this." And she's like, "Oh, what? You learn about that in homeroom?" She's like, "No, I watched Law and Order, but I'm still right." And the Mosley has such a good comeback where he says, "Oh, by the way, agent, next time you come, take off all of your shoes." And again, I enjoy that Nakia is basically the Pakistani Muslim soul of this series, because she's the one that brings up references. Of course, they come to us and they want us to turn over this person that they think we have, thinking, good brown versus bad brown. And even at the party, the engagement party for her brother and her sister-in-law, at the end of this episode, her sister-in-law, they're all talking about it, and Kamala ends up talking to him because she says, "Well, what do you think about our new, brown neighbor superhero?" I like that it's someone who is us and looks like us that's protecting us, but seems like she always causes troubles. And he flat out says the little boy from I don't remember the all of their words, and I don't want to offend, so I won't even attempt to say some of their words. But he says that little boy who she saved, he would disagree. And it reminds me, I don't know what it is about Spider Man this week. When I was watching Spider Man 2, still top three Spider Man movies, it reminds me of that with the little boy, Tommy, who looked up to Spider Man. It this her her origin story or her becoming a hero is so much like Spider Man. I can see for the foreseeable future, I believe she can be used in place of Tom whenever Sony starts getting that hair up their butt. Whenever they start, we don't know. You can easily slide Tom on in. I mean, slide Tom on in there. Slide Kamala right on in there. Which I haven't even. I don't even know if I'm going to talk about how ridiculous the premise of Craven the Hunter movie is. Don't even get me started on that. But we're talking about Ms.Marvel. So we got that iconic line down, right? I'm okay with her at the end of this episode not telling her mother, not telling her family, because someone says, older lady says, I saw Kamala pull the fire alarm. She had to pull the fire alarm because the Jinn are gonna attack them, and I'll get to those folks in a minute. But I love that the conflict is she wants to, but she knows it's better not to because the more if she tells her family, obviously they're going to come to her aid and say, "Oh, we're going to stop these people," but that will cause them to get hurt. Which one of the things I love to see in this episode when she's battling against them, she's mostly using her powers defensively, energy shields and all that good stuff. Man, I've been playing a lot of hero clicks. Tons of energy shields to block attacks and things like that, and using the stepping power to just push away and try to get away. But when they hurt Bruno, that's when she's able to make the fist and elongate it and swipe them away, as if I'm playing Marvel's The Avenger on PlayStation 4. Horrible game. Anyway, but yes, 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 yes. I enjoyed both of those moments. Um, Already mentioned the mountain part. I love that. Nakia. Oh yeah, we'll get to Nakia, but yeah, I'm okay with her not wanting to bring them in. Usually things like that annoy me, where the solution is just tell them. But for this instance, where finally, it feels like only DC has this secret identity for superheroes. Spider Man has one. She has one. For a long time, Iron Man did have one, but you know what? It makes more sense for him not to have one. Actually, most of the Avengers, it makes sense for them not to have one. Most of them. But you have the Spider-Mans, the Kamala Khans, the Spider-Men, I should say. Even the Novas. People who need to actually cover their face and not just have a uniform. And I deeply appreciate this. This dual life thing. Because it seems to be only a thing with DC movies, or DC properties, which tons of potential there. I wish they would handle it better. Of course, I think now we're going to get into the era of Black Adam where his secret identity won't matter. So I'm kind of contradicting myself, but you see where I'm getting at. I enjoy that this is a character who will have to face that duality and plurality of being 16, 17-year-old girl, go to high school and try to live up to your parents' cultural expectations, and then you have to be a superhero. So let's talk about the clandestine. So I'm gonna do two things here. What does clandestine mean? Clandestine is an adjective that means done or kept in secret, sometimes to conceal an illicit or improper purpose. So for this group, and Kamran, that's her other love interest, for his mother to say, yeah, we are called clandestine. It's very funny because Bruno's super intelligent. He made her mask. He made her domino mask, so he's super smart. Pretty sure he put something in there to make it so people can't recognize her. But anyway, while he was looking up things, her father happened to come by because His guilty pleasure are those fake cherry pies that you can get from the corner stores. Yeah, that's his thing. And he's reading in it's pronounced Urdu, but it's Urdu. Their homeland language. Because he's studying the jinn. And if you even look in mythologies, I'm about to say in the real world, but if you look into mythologies, jinn a lot of times are shown to be on the bad side. The downside to getting your three wishes, the downside of finding these beings because they can cause a lot of trouble, and some of them are actual agents of chaos and evil. But then you have the chaotically good ones. Your Robin Williams' genies, your Will Smith genies, your I Dream of genies, right? So taking note of what a jinn is. Now, who are the clandestine? Where are my pictures? Where are my manners? Clandestine. Here's a cover from 1994. Here's another cover from 1994. You know what's funny about these characters? They kind of look like DC characters, and you're probably saying, man, almost look like Eternals. Gee, Shane, this is almost like a picture of X-Men. This man is Adam Destined. He is literally the patriarch of Clan Destined. Back in the mid 1300s, he was rescued as a child. He was rescued by a jinn named I'm gonna just look at her name. Eliath. Eliath. Guys, I try to bring up stuff for you. There you go. Eliath. She is a jinn. And when he got older, he fell madly in love with her first time he saw her. Met her again. They had a bunch of kids. And when I mean a bunch of kids, she has made him immortal, expanding his lifespan, making him invulnerable. He has tons of children now. Because of her being a jinn, their children powers show up, but as adults. And they start doing superhero exploits when the two youngest, the twins, I know one is called Rory. Don't forget, I don't remember the other young lady's name. Rory and Pandora. Their powers showed up as young adolescents because when they're in close proximity to each other, their powers, they flare out, kind of like Massimenos, Wonder Twins, that sort of thing. Or was it M and her brother, M. St. Croix and her brother? I can't remember her brother's name, but they are penance. Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying. Created by Alan Davis, who is, I almost confused him for Alan Moore. I don't particularly care for Alan Moore, but I will talk about that probably in a different video. But Alan Davis, who has made one of the best Uncanny X-Men runs ever, created them. He also done notable works with Captain Britain. Dude's great. This book is is very not known. And even though this is a reluctant hero group in the comics, the mainline comics, the 616s, Marvel, Feige, they do it once again by saying, hey, let's grab something that's actually from the comics and let's change it so it fits this story. And now we have another group of beings and villains that can now tie into other characters. They might not ever touch Inhumans again because of how bad that show was. Might not. Who knows? Maybe they'll make certain characters that were Inhumans be Jinn, and maybe they'll slowly creep in the Inhumans when it comes time to do more crap with the Eternals, because literally Inhumans were made by the Eternals. Even in my research of the Jinn race from the comics, there's Jinn from the Nine Realms with Thor's books. There's earthly gems from the Prime Marvel universe. There's another Jinn named Fahad Alriza. I can't say those names. There's even dangerous jinns. In other universes, there are evil jinns, or called Jinn, Jin, not Djinn. There's even Jinni. That's just, it is a thing, and this is probably a good call for them to do. So there we go with that. I had another. So when we do our flashback at the beginning of this episode, we see the bangle. The bangle is connected to a severed arm, and that severed arm happens to be blue. Now, the clandestines are in this dimension from another dimension because they got lost. In the comics, they were banished and they're trying to get their way home, right? So according to legend, supposed to be two of these bangles. Kamala has two bangles in comics, and I believe she has two bangles in. Does she have two bangles in promotional work? I don't remember if she has two bangles in promotional work, but she has two bangles in comics. The Quasar bands. That green arm is more than likely a Kree. And this is more than likely Kree technology that is able to unlock and bring out the potential of a being's powers. The room that they were in had so much different. It's crazy that the clandestines are all multiracial and whatnot, but this particular area within India in 1942 looks like it had other artifacts sitting in there as well. And on the floor is the circle of the 10 rings, the Mandarin's 10 rings. Shang-Chi's Papa, who has also been around for centuries on centuries on centuries. So it begs the question. I don't remember the Mandarin's real name, so I'm just going to keep calling Mandarin. Did the Mandarin find his 10 rings in this place? Are the 10 rings made by the same people that made this pair of bangles that are supposed to exist? Of course, the British Empire had, ransacked all sorts of cultural areas, not just within India, but within Africa and other places. Do your history. So they couldn't find another bangle, but Aisha, Kamala's great grandmother, she says we're gonna have to make do with this. So, an issue with the clandestine being bad in this series is they want to get back to their home dimension no matter what. We don't belong here. And Kamran, funny enough, he's not a douche. He actually cares about Kamala to the point where he doesn't tell his mom that she wants to wait. He even tells her focus on the wedding because it could be bad news. It could create so much trouble and destruction to do this, and we need to do it the right way. But for some reason, these folks that go, "Oh, we'll protect you," they are so impatient to the point you've been waiting. Wait, 1942? Oh God, we haven't had a 42 in a long time. Yeah, you've been waiting hundreds of years, a long time, decades upon decades. You can't wait a little bit longer for a 16-year-old to try to find this out? No, they don't care. They probably think, probably the Bengals, if you try to use them for interdimensional travel, would probably drain Kamala until she dies. Maybe that's what Aisha knew. Maybe Aisha said, hey, I'm going to hide this and throw this away and keep this in our family so they don't find it because it could be bad. At the end of the show, where bad guy Mama Farhan, Kamran grabs the bangle, her and Kamala both see a train. Could this be a train from 1942? Are they going to dimension hop and time hop, or are they just going to time hop? Because Kamala's grandmother, back in, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the country. I'm just going to go to the end of my notes. Uh, Kamarachi. Back in Kamarachi says, come on, it needs to come. She needs to bring her mother because she also saw the train. Could it be that her grandmother has a strong connection with the powers and that's why? Makes tons of sense to me. Makes all the sense in the world to me. Um, pardon me. So only time can tell. I actually did a lot. Bruno, I love Bruno's slight jabs at Kamran saying, her average looking son, or him standing up for Kamala, or even when they were going to do a slow dance, dude comes in to try to warn her. He's like, hey, you need to get out of here. But all three of these people know the secret. He wants to help her, and this is a very cute thing going on. I really do hope that if the conclusion of this leads to us getting a season 2, hope we see more of that romance. I hope it does better than Peter and MJ. Yeesh. Nakia. Nakia is pretty upset that Kamala didn't tell her that she is the Night Light, which they both agree that name sucks. She was thinking about calling herself Noor Girl, which is, the language word for light, but she's like, it doesn't have a good ring to it, right? So when she was thinking of telling her while she's watching these videos over and over again, Nakia comes in and gripes about what happened at the mosque. And then even Kamala wasn't focused and she had to tap her and say, hey, I got on the board. It's not really Kamala's fault. Everyone around her is making her second guess what she should do and who she is, and don't have your head in the clouds, but I'm destined for more. Even Kamala herself says you've wanted something for so long, but when you have it, doesn't seem that great. That this is a mountain that she's going over. She's always wanted to be a hero, but she's gonna learn what it means to truly be not just yourself, but be a hero. This is why this is so fascinating. This is legitimately the one reason why I'm actually not complaining the whole entire time that her power set's different. The reason behind it, I've said this 3 episodes now, and I probably won't say it next week. I might say it next week. The reason why they won't do it is stupid, but how this has been portrayed, it's done so well. I love the cultural aspects of this show, where it's with the wedding, and you see Aamir's, you see his wife, you see her parents. She's black, so they're interracial couple. I don't know if she converted to Muslim or if they're already Muslim, but even her parents danced. Everyone was dancing. It's a thing for the family. You even see the cultural thing of you hide the groom's shoes, and he has to pay you to get his shoes and things like that. But they hit all of his shoes, which is funny. Um, where am I at here? I mentioned Blue Arm. Grandma saw the train. 10 rings with the Mandarin. Man, I'm on fire today, guys. The one thing I will have to say, which is funny about no Inhumans, I already said that too. One thing I will have to say is, what do I think will happen? So we're halfway. We probably won't see this episode 4, but we might see this. We always see big things in episode 6. I mean, watch the Obi-Wan series. 5 and 6 are the big episodes. Um, I have a prediction that if we don't see this next week, we will see in episode 4. I mean, episode 5 and 6, most likely 6. Sword will appear because yeah, the Jinn are more or less an interdimensional thing. Sword deals with space, but I got a feeling that we could see Sword, or we could see Carol, or Monica Rambeau, and or Nick Fury. Probably not Nick Fury, even though his show is after She-Hulk, which is Secret Invasion. But it's supposed to be the Marvels with Captain Marvel. Uh, oh God, what do we call Monica Rambeau? She's called Photon. And Ms.Marvel, even though that movie's supposed to show, so we could get Monica Rambeau, but I say Sword, and it might not be Nick Fury. It might be Darcy and Jimmy Woo. And I would love to get an agency that's not full of evil, racist douchebags like Agent Karen. That's something we definitely need. Yeah, it may be fictitious, but again, we're watching a cinematic universe about people get bit by spiders and have special spider powers, or a billionaire who can make a suit of armor and make a miniature reactor that doesn't explode. A man frozen in ice for 100 years. You see where I'm going with this? Suspend your disbelief. I'm looking forward to seeing a good government agency show up in here, because God knows these people really deserve it. And I'm glad this show isn't afraid to shy away from these type of things. But yeah, I finally did one on time, guys. I really hope you tell me what you thought of the episode. Did I miss anything? Did I miss anything? Is there anything that you particularly cared about for this episode? I would have to give this a 4 out of 5, leaning on the 3.5. Um, at the lowest 3.5. I'm gonna give it a firm 4, because lots of world building, lots of exposition done in a way that didn't suck. You got to show the cultural significance of the Pakistani Muslim people and marriages, and I love that when they do this. They say the "I do's." You say it 3 times. I really like that. I'm really hoping someone else shows up to connect her to the rest of the MCU. Doesn't have to be Shang-Chi, although I hope we get an Avengers movie by 2025. Was it 2022? Yeah, by 2025. I hope we get an Avengers movie soon, because I need to see. I love watching character interaction. So, yeah. But again, let me know what you think. Hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified of more videos just like this. Don't forget that you can also share the video and show others what a grand time we're having. As always, guys, thank you for taking some time out to spend some time with me. Be good, be blessed, wash your hands, wear a mask, be safe out there, be good to yourself, and be good to others. Either way it goes, please don't be a jerk, and I will most definitely see you next time.